A very good evening to all. I am here to welcome you all to the study circle meeting being conducted on statutory audit, being conducted by Ms. Sneha Malpani. Now I will hand over the stage to the Ms. Sneha Malpani for the further discussion. Have great learning ahead.
Hello everyone. Good evening. I know post-lunch sessions will be a bit heavy, but I'll try to engage at maximum. So before getting started, I would like to clarify a thing that this session is actually based more on checklist for statutory audit of companies based on Companies Act. So that will be the main focus. Simultaneously, I have also covered the other aspects as well. So let's get started. So in this meet, we will go through appointment of statutory auditor, the checklist for the statutory audit, and applicability of CARO reporting. To start with, appointment of statutory auditor. The first auditor is being appointed by the Board of Directors within 30 days of incorporation. However, if Board of Directors fail to make the appointment, shareholders will do the appointment at an extraordinary general meeting. So this appointment which I am talking about is in case of non-government companies. For government companies, we have different scenarios. Subsequent auditor will be appointed by the shareholders at the annual general meeting. The tenure of the statutory auditor will be, in case of first auditor, he will be appointed, he will hold the office from the date of appointment till the date of first AGM, and the subsequent auditor will hold the office from the conclusion of first AGM till every 6th AGM. In short, 5 years. Eligibility: who can be appointed as a statutory auditor? Chartered accountant. For the appointment, there has ADT 1 has to be filed for the appointment of subsequent auditors. So we have to check if ADT 1 has been filed or not when we go for the audits. So what all documents will be covered in ADT 1? First, we will have the company's board resolution copy, written consent from the auditor that he is not disqualified from the appointment. That's all. Let's move to the checklist part. To start with, first is share capital. Can anybody tell me how you will verify the share capital, and what are the scenarios where you have to verify the share capital? Anybody? I'll appreciate active participation. Okay, I'll only tell. Well, if there are any changes in the share capital, in that case, we have to verify the share capital. How we will verify? You have to check if the additional share capital which has been issued during the year, if it is crossing the authorized share capital. If yes, then you have to also check for the resolution copies. You have to ask the client to give the resolution copies and verify whether the things are being properly done. And also, if there are any changes in the share capital, there are MCA filings, forms have to be filed. So you have to also obtain those copies which you can get from the MCA site. Like I have listed some of them. If there is increase in the authorized share capital, you have to check for form SH7. And if there is increase in the paid up share capital, you will look for form PAS3. If you have got foreign direct investment from the non-resident, then you have to also check the RBI forms which have been submitted. That was all about the share capital. Also, one thing that you have to go to the MCA site and also download the master data, which you can get from the site itself. There you can get what is the share capital as per the MCA site which you have filed, plus verify it with the share capital appearing in the books of accounts. Done. Next, loans taken by the company. So here I will be covering borrowings of the company. Another question to you all: can company borrow loans from outsiders? Okay, to be more specific, directors or related parties, can we borrow the loans? Yes. Okay. What can you elaborate if you know some thresholds? Yes.
Should be at arm's length price.
No, I'm talking about borrowings, not the transactions. Anybody else? Okay. I'll just elaborate on this. See, loans can be taken from the directors and other related parties. There is no bar, but we have to take care of the threshold. What is the threshold? Paid up share capital plus free reserves plus securities premium. All these together should not exceed the borrowings. My total borrowings should not exceed these three together. If it is exceeding, there may be circumstances where I may have borrowings more than what I just specified. In that case, you need to obtain the board's approval or the resolution copy. So you have to ask for that if you find any circumstances in the client place. Done? Okay. So this was about some special part. Now we will just go like ordinary circumstances. How will we verify the loans and advances? So we will obtain the list of secured and unsecured borrowings, and also we will check with the security details against the loan. You have to also check for the charge creations in the MCA site. Again, master data mein you will get all the things. Next, you have to also check, as I told, resolutions, that also you have to take care of. If any resolution is coming in picture, make sure you collect these things. Next, usually if for the client CARO is applicable, we need to collect some data so that we could report it. So the next point which I am going to discuss will be based on that. So if the client has defaulted in repayment of any term loan, any installment, you have to make the list of those defaults. Plus you have to also check that if the company has borrowed a loan, it was utilized for the purpose for which it was borrowed. These I have to report in CARO under clause 9.
What is the meaning of CARO?
That I have covered, sir. Yes, sir. Ek minute. Another part, you have to also take care from where the loans are being borrowed. If it's a bank, if it's a financial institution other than banks, because if we have borrowed a loan from other than banks, what we have to check for? TDS under section 194A. So for that thing, you just take care that किससे लिया है loan. And अगर कंपनी ने debentures दिया है, if they have issued any debentures, you also need to ask for the additional documents, जैसे कि debenture agreements registers होते हैं and debenture holder agreement, conversion ratios and etc. Next. Okay. Now finance cost. So in finance cost, how the loans which the company have taken, you will get the amortization table. So you have to check whether the principal and interest is getting booked correctly, where is the effect going and all. Secondly, TDS perspective, already I had elaborated in previous slide. Thirdly, if the company has taken any loan in other than Indian currency, that is foreign currency, in that case you have to also make sure that they have booked the profit and loss which is arising from that forex transaction, along with if there is any translation gain or loss, even that has to be adjusted. So take care of those things also, whether it has been properly booked. Nextly, if loan was taken on some for acquisition or for construction of any capital asset, make sure it is getting capitalized. Done. Next, TDS. So for TDS, we have to get the challenge from the client along with the returns, and we will do workings as we do. I will tell you how we actually do the workings. That will be covered in the next slides. And interest computation also has to be checked in case if the payment was made after the due date. Okay, for TDS deduction along with TDS payment. Question. If a client has not deducted the TDS, what shall be the interest? 1% per month or part of the month, correct? If the TDS was not deducted and not paid, no, before that another slide. If the TDS was deducted but not paid, 1.5. Okay, so I am just throwing out a scenario and anybody who knows the answer can feel free to answer. If a client had not deducted the TDS, okay, subsequently he deducted after 2 months, okay, and he had paid after 3 months, what should be the rate? Will the rate change? How should my interest calculation work? Anybody? क्वेश्चन समझ आया ना? या मैं हिंदी में बोलूँ एक बार, कन्नड़ा नहीं आता है मुझे इसीलिए. ओके, एनीबडी? ट्राई दो, चलेगा.
For subsequent 2 months, we shall deduct in the 1.5%.
1.5%. Okay.
So, till the date of payment, which will be charged at 1%.
नहीं, मैंने क्या डाला था सिनारियो में कि फर्स्ट 2 मंथ्स में डिडक्ट नहीं हुआ है, 3 मंथ बाद पे हुआ है. तो मैंने पूछा था रेट. अभी आप लोगों ने जैसे फर्स्ट आंसर किया था वो शायद तुम्हारा उल्टा है या कैसे?
We will take 1% and we will take the scenario that it has not been deducted at all. We are deducting after deducting in payment after 3 months. So 1% that we can take.
1.5% deduction after deduction for payment.
Yes.
For the date of payment.
And before that?
No.
Sorry, why?
The deduction we know that when ನಾವು deducted. ಅದು ಯಾವಾಗಿದ್ರೂ ಅದು ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅವಾಗ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು 1.5% ನಾವು TDS.
Then there should have been no rate for interest rate for non-deduction, no? Okay. So anybody else would like to answer?
2 months 1% and remaining 1 month 1%.
2 months? 1% per month. So 2 2%.
Or not paid 1 month that is 1.5.
Exactly correct. Yes. So I'll just tell what he said. I'll just repeat it. So first 2 months के लिए there was no deduction. So it had to be 1% per month or part of the month. So 2% interest for the first 2 months. It was deducted but not paid for the 1 month. That is the next month. So 1.5% for 1 month. Okay? Done. Now, this is the extract. Now I would like to run through the process of our TDS workings. Okay? So this is the, I have taken an extract of the expenditure side of one of our clients. Now how our process should go is, and correspondingly I will explain it with the audit program sheet given by our office. Okay? So now I can see the line item audit fee, right? I have to start with my P&L line by line item. I have to also analyze if TDS is applicable. If TDS is applicable, then which section, under which section it should have been deducted. Correspondingly, I have to make the entries in this column, expenditure column. So my first will be audit fee will come here, and I have to also make workings for party wise and month wise. I can also add the subsequent columns, rows, if there are more than one parties. Nextly, in this expenditure, in this amount column, I have to take the figure which is appearing in my indirect expenditure. This is completely our workings. Till now, whatever I have said, I have not checked what client has deducted. Okay? And TDS to be deducted. So you have to add the percentage. You have to apply percentage on the amount column, and with that figure you have to arrive at TDS to be deducted. Then you have to go for the client's books part. So this part will form part of our workings, and this has to be done, right? This will be TDS deducted as per books. I can find it in our books of accounts, where current liability TDS payable. Month wise I can get the breakup of, even section wise I will get it. And actual amount paid, I can find it in the TDS payment challenge and actual date of payment here. Done? Next, ESI, PF, PT. We are known to this. Still, I'll just elaborate it. ESI is applicable when the employees are minimum 10 with the maximum salary of 21,000 and it is 25,000 for the handicapped. It is calculated on the gross salary, but we shouldn't include annual bonus, incentive bonus, service charges, retrenchment compensation and many more. They have been listed, and the rates will be employee contribution 0.75% and employer contribution 3.25%. Now when we go at the client place, we will be given the salary sheet. It may be in the hard copy format or soft copy format. So while we are conducting the statutory audit, we need to know what all things are getting added in the gross pay. Here is my gross pay. So also look through what all are the deductions and what all are the allowances. Okay, and accordingly I had also mentioned the list of what all are not included in the gross salary. So remove it from the calculation and then arrive at your figure. What should be the contribution as per your workings. Done. Next, PF. PF is applicable when minimum employees are 20 and with the maximum salary of 15,000. Now PF is calculated on basic salary plus dearness allowance and conveyance allowance and any other special allowance. But there is a twist. And abhi ek aur question aane wala hai, be ready. Okay. Now I also mentioned special allowance, right? But आप लोगों ने जब किया होगा वर्किंग्स, यू माइट हैव ऑलरेडी फोकस्ड, ज़्यादा फोकस तो बेसिक और डीए पे ही हुआ होगा, राइट? अभी ये जो कन्वेयंस अलावेंस एंड स्पेशल अलावेंस है ना, दिस विल बी एडेड ओनली इफ इट इज़ इन द नेचर ऑफ कॉम्पेंसेशन. If it is in the nature of reimbursement, it won't be added, and this is as per the Supreme Court rulings. अभी क्वेश्चन आता है, हम कैसे वेरीफाई करेंगे कि ये कॉम्पेंसेशन नेचर का है या रीइम्बर्समेंट? एनीबडी? ये क्वेश्चन था क्योंकि हम अपने वर्किंग्स बनाते हैं ना, सो वी नीड टू नो व्हाट ऑल थिंग्स वी आर एडिंग. तो how will we identify whether it is in the nature of compensation or reimbursement? Anybody? Yes.
If employee gives any supporting documents for the expenses, then we will give the reimbursement. We can verify that this is an reimbursement.
Okay, correct. ये भी एक मेथड हो सकता है. But if the person has not given you any documents, वो क्यों देना चाहेगा? उसको भी 12% तक का डिडक्शन मिल जाएगा ना, मतलब अलग हो जाएगा ना उधर, वो क्यों देगा आपको? Okay, so you can check it when you verify the salary sheet. If the allowances are majorly fixed and it is given to all the employees at a fixed range, we can have an assumption that yes, it is in the nature of compensation and not in the nature of reimbursement. But if it is variable, every month it is fluctuating, or there is no match between all the employees, then yes, we can treat it as it is in the nature of reimbursement. Done. And rates are 12% each by employer and employee. ये एक सैलरी शीट का एक्सट्रैक्ट है which I have attached here, and here we have added only the basic and conveyance allowance. I have not added the fixed medical allowance based on the assumption, क्योंकि मैंने सैलरी शीट देखी, उधर वेरिएबल था. I treated it as in the nature of reimbursement, so I have not added to my calculation. और यहाँ पे अच्छा नीचे चला गया, वो नहीं दिख रहा है. ठीक है, मैंने इन दोनों को ऐड करके ही आई हैड अराइव्ड एट माई सैलरी ऑन विच आई हैड टू कंप्यूट पीएफ, एंड पीएफ का परसेंटेज लगाया एंड आई गॉट द. सो ये होना चाहिए हमारा वर्किंग्स का फॉर्मेट. डन. यस, अभी आते हैं पीटी पे. पीटी दो लोगों के लिए करते हैं. एक होता है एम्प्लॉय का, एम्प्लॉय प्रोफेशनल टैक्स, एंड द सेकेंड इज एम्प्लॉयर प्रोफेशनल टैक्स. एम्प्लॉय प्रोफेशनल टैक्स वी डू फॉर ऑल द मंथ्स अदर दैन Feb 200 per employee per month if their salary exceeds, gross pay exceeds 25,000. And handicapped, some people are exempted from it, handicapped persons and persons above age of 65 years. 60 years, 65 years. सो उनके लिए पीटी हम डिडक्ट नहीं करेंगे. एंड नेक्स्ट इज़ एम्प्लॉयर प्रोफेशनल टैक्स. एम्प्लॉयर प्रोफेशनल टैक्स आपने देखा होगा बुक्स में होता है, फर्म्स प्रोफेशनल टैक्स करके भी दिया होता है. सो इट इज़ 2500 पर एनम, वो भी एस्टैब्लिशमेंट बेसिस पे. If you are having a place of business, then it will be, if I have 2 places of business, in that case it will be 2500 for per establishment. That means 5000. Provided ये जो है हम लोगों को गोडाउन्स या वेयर हाउसेस जहाँ पे गुड्स इन और आउट होता है उनको अप्लाई नहीं होता है. ओनली वेयर द बिलिंग हैपन्स, जहाँ पे हमारा रेगुलर बिलिंग होता है, सिर्फ उधर का ही पीटी पे करना है. दिस इज़ फॉर द फर्म लेवल. एंड जो पहले समझाया था वो था एम्प्लॉय. Done. GST. We have our formats. We have the audit program from the office. We prepare the reconciliation for the output tax liability. GST are 1 basis पे, books basis पे, 3B basis पे. Next for ITC we have as per books, then 2B and then 3B में क्या claim किया गया है. I am not going into detail कि कहाँ से क्या फिगर्स लेना है. कमिंग टू RCM ट्रांजैक्शंस का भी आइडेंटिफिकेशन विल बी इन सिमिलर पैटर्न टू व्हाट वी डिड इन TDS. लाइक आई हैव टू स्क्रूटनाइज द लेजर एंड आई हैव टू गो इनटू ईच आइटम इन डेप्थ. जैसे कि एक एग्जाम्पल देती हूँ, मेनी क्लाइंट्स मे बुक एडवर्टाइजमेंट एक्सपेंसेस और उसके अंदर हो सकता है स्पॉन्सरशिप सर्विसेज. सो यू हैव टू ऑल्सो लुक इनटू एवरी ट्रांजैक्शन इन डिटेल विद द इनवॉइस in order to identify, and we should not go by the expenditure head का नाम. Done. We have to also check for the reversals under rule 42-43 and copy of LUT to be obtained. अगर हमारा exports है तो we have to also obtain the LUT copy. We can also find it in the GST portal. Next, we have to also rule 37. अगर if the payment to creditors have been made within 180 days or not. If not, I have to reverse the proportionate ITC which I had claimed during the purchase. So also make a list of those and submit it to the client and keep it with you for the documentation. Next, cash ledger or credit ledger का जो balance which I am finding in the GST portal has to be matched with my books में जो GST receivable रखा होता है. It has to be matched and reconciled. If it is not matched, ask the client to reconcile. Statutory audit है ना इसीलिए. Next, trade payables. For trade payables, obtain a list. You can find out the list in their accounting software also, creditors का list. Also scrutinize the creditors जिसका debit balance है and ask the client what was the transaction. If there are non-moving or old balances, list them out and discuss with the client. And अगर 31st March को जा रहे हैं तो you have to also obtain the balance confirmation. Just a point, मैं एक बार पीछे जाना चाहती हूँ वो TDS part पे. For TDS part, another thing which we have to be very careful is, if in case हम लोग पहले 9 months audit के लिए गए थे and some other person or the same person is going for the next 3 months audit, make sure you also correspond with your earlier workings. Because TDS में क्या होता है, cumulative thresholds होते हैं. जैसे कि 194J we have to check for per annum basis, 194Q you have to check for per annum basis. Maybe शायद first जब गए थे उस time cross नहीं हुआ होगा, but second time हुआ होगा. So make sure you collate your workings. Next, coming back to trade payables. If the creditor has filed any legal suit, details ले लीजिए client से and also take the documents and ask the status. Whether advance to supplier made during the previous year has been adjusted in the current year or not, वो एक check करना है. अगर नहीं हुआ है तो also obtain the ask for the reasons and obtain the agreement. Yes. एक और एक था मेन पार्ट MSME का. सो MSME के लिए भी हम लोगों को एक स्क्रूटिनी करनी पड़ती है. इफ़ देयर इज़ अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, यू हैव टू चेक उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के हिसाब से when should the payment be made. If the payment terms are specified and if it is less than 45 days, take that. If it is more than 45 days, our threshold is 45 days itself. If there is no contract, then 15 days will be the threshold. Payment नहीं हुआ है तो there has to be interest. Make sure interest has been properly booked. And income tax perspective से बात करूँ तो it will be allowed when the payment is made. And another thing from the company's perspective, so well, every company is required to file MSME 1 every 6 months, like half yearly. They have to list the details of the creditors who are covered under MSME, what are the outstanding balances, why are they not paid, along with the reasons. So you have to also check if there are any MSMEs to whom payment have not been made. Make sure it is also reflected in your MSME 1 form, and correspondingly you also check in their list provided by the client. The due dates for the MSME 1 are, just for knowledge, April to September I will file in 31st October, and October to March we have to file by 30th April. Next, provision. So specifically for companies, if they have more than 10 employees, they have to maintain a provision for gratuity. So when they are maintaining the provision for gratuity, it should be based on actuarial calculation. Okay, so ask the clients for the details. And disclosure of retirement benefit to be made in the notes to accounts of the balance sheet. If the company does any leave encashment, also obtain the policy copy. And अभी जो ग्रेचुइटी का प्रोविजन रखा है या और किसी का प्रोविजन रखा है, इफ दे हैव मेड एनी करस्पॉन्डिंग इन्वेस्टमेंट, so make sure you obtain the details of the same. Also there is a recent update, like if I am keeping any provision for gratuity, I just can't keep it, I just can't have it in my books of accounts in my provision side. I have to also make a corresponding investment. So this was a legal update, and if this is not followed, it is a statutory non-compliance. And whether the proper provision of such expense is made at the year end, you have to also check for the same. Next, fixed assets. So fixed assets, we have to list out what all are the additions during the year, obtain the invoice copy, 1-to-1 कीजिए, and also ask for the client to give the fixed asset register. Since we are doing the audit of companies, we require the fixed asset register. Next, caro tangent में देखें तो actually we need to conduct the physical verification of the fixed assets at the reasonable intervals. It has been specified in caro, so that reasonable intervals may be 3 years. If they have done the physical verification during the year, also obtain the certificates of the same. And if there is any variation in physical verification and as per the books of accounts, proper entry has been passed or not has to be checked. And if the residual value of any asset is falling below 5%, ask the client for the reasons. Next, investment. अभी investment का आप लोग बोलो कैसे verify करना है, इसको देख के मत बोलना. Anybody? इन्वेस्टमेंट है, आप लोग गए हो ऑडिट के लिए, हाउ विल यू वेरीफाई? सिंपल. अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट शेयर्स में हो रहा है, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नोट्स मंगवा लो. अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट किसने बोला? हाँ बोलो. हाँ, एफडी में हुआ है, सर्टिफिकेट मंगवा लो. और उस पर अगर शेयर्स है तो कैपिटल गेन और लॉस जो भी हो रहा है, मेक श्योर इट इज़ बीन प्रॉपरली कंप्यूटेड एंड बुक्ड इन आवर अकाउंट्स. दैट्स इट. नेक्स्ट, sundry debtors. So we have to obtain the list of debtors which are receivable for more than 6 months, and पूछना है क्लाइंट को कि कहीं बैड डेट्स तो नहीं हो गया है. अगर बैड डेट्स हुआ है तो डालना पड़ेगा उसको. यूजुअली तो नहीं होता है, डाउटफुल होता है. दूसरा वापस पॉइंट मैंने इधर ही कवर कर लिया. इफ़ देर आर एनी बैड डेट्स ड्यूरिंग द ईयर, देन यू ऑल्सो हैव टू आस्क द रीजन्स वाई इट हैज़ बिकम बैड डेट्स टू द क्लाइंट and note it. Next, is there any ask the client if there is any procedure for obtaining balance confirmation and reconciliation with our major customers, जिसके साथ बहुत सारे ट्रांजैक्शंस होते हैं, उनका यूजुअली बैलेंस मैच नहीं होता है. सो जस्ट आस्क कि ऐसा कुछ प्रोसीजर है कि नहीं. क्या कंपनी की कोई ऐसी पॉलिसी है कि वो क्रेडिट पे कुछ टाइम के लिए ही दे रहा है? इफ़ येस, आस्क देयर पॉलिसी and make sure कि उनके जो transactions हो रहे हैं it is happening as per that policy only. If not, you can ask a query. Next, loans. अभी एक और एक question. कंपनी लोन दे सकता है? Can company advance loan? पढ़ के ही बोल दो यार. हाँ या ना, इतना ही पूछा था. पूरा पीपीटी नहीं पढ़ना है, स्लाइड नहीं पढ़ना है. हाँ ना? हाँ, कब दे सकता है? हाँ, करेक्ट. ऑब्जेक्ट क्लॉज में अगर है वो तो दे सकता है. अगर ऑब्जेक्ट क्लॉज में है तो भी टिल इज देयर एनी लिमिट्स कि इधर तक ही दे सकता है लोन, वो भी चेक करना है हमें. यस. क्या मैं डायरेक्टर्स को लोन दे सकती हूँ? दे सकती हूँ, मैं दे सकती हूँ. अभी जो नेक्स्ट पॉइंट है उसको कवर करके आई विल जस्ट एलॉबरेट हाउ इट इज़ डन. सो इज देयर एनी लोन ग्रांटेड टू डायरेक्टर्स? यू हैव टू चेक इट. इफ येस, देन यू हैव टू मेक अ डिटेल्ड लिस्ट इन अ फॉर्मेट. ऐसे तो लोन cannot be given to directors, but there is a special procedure. If you want to give the loan, you have to pass certain resolutions. As per section 185, the company usually cannot advance loan to directors, to any concern in which director is interested, or to any other related party. But the loan can be given by passing a special resolution. 75% होना चाहिए. Member approval, जो कि जनरल मीटिंग में पास होना चाहिए. एंड अनदर थिंग, द लोन शुड बी यूज्ड फॉर द बोरोअर्स प्रिंसिपल एक्टिविटीज़, प्रिंसिपल बिजनेस एक्टिविटीज़. इट शुड नॉट बी फॉर पर्सनल पर्पस. ओके. एंड सेकेंडली, सेकेंड कंडीशन, लोन शुड बी गिवन एट मार्केट टर्म्स. मतलब इंटरेस्ट रेट्स शुड बी एट पार विथ माई नॉर्मल बैंकिंग रेट्स इंटरेस्ट रेट. वेदर लोन कैन बी ग्रांटेड टू रिलेटेड पार्टीज एंड रिलेटिव्स, इनके लिए भी यही है प्रोसीजर. बट देर इज़ अ लिमिट. The company can advance a loan only up to 60% of share capital, free reserves, securities premium, or 100% of free reserves and securities premium, whichever is higher. अगर वो exceed हो रहा है तो sorry, company नहीं दे सकता है लोन, कोई भी हो फिर तो. Done. So you have to check it. अगर लोन दे रहा है तो you have to go into these aspects during audit. Next, cash. Cash तो favorite है, बता दो ना कोई एक. वी डू द फिजिकल कैश वेरिफिकेशन. हमको 31 मार्च के लिए वी वांट द डिनोमिनेशंस के साथ वी वांट द सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ द कैश बैलेंस. नेक्स्टली, डेली क्लोजिंग कैश जो है डेबिट बैलेंस ही होना चाहिए, बिकॉज कैश बैलेंस कैन नॉट बी क्रेडिट. एंड कैश रिसीट शुड नॉट एक्सीड 2 lakhs. 269 ST अगर हुआ है तो फिर नॉट अलाउड अंडर आवर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट. कैश पेमेंट जो है 10,000 से ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए. इफ़ इट इज़ देन 40A3 में इट इज़ डिसअलाउड. नेक्स्ट, बैंक. फॉर बैंक आई विल जस्ट ऑब्टेन द बैंक स्टेटमेंट्स फ्रॉम द क्लाइंट. अगर रिकन्सिलेशन है, आई विल आस्क फॉर द रिकन्सिलेशन, प्रोवाइडेड दैट if in reconciliation, if I have any pending items such as checks deposited but not cleared, checks issued but not presented for payment, I have to check अगर वो 3 months से ज़्यादा पीछे नहीं है. If it is more than 3 months, then you should not consider it during reconciliation. Why? Why? Exactly. फिर वो चेक इनकैश ही नहीं हो सकता है. That's why. So it should not appear in my reconciliation. Done. और 31st March के लिए I have to also obtain the balance confirmation certificate from the respective banks. नेक्स्ट इन्वेंट्री. सो फॉर इन्वेंट्री फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन हुआ है तो आई हैव टू ऑल्सो ऑब्टेन द फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन सर्टिफिकेट. I have to also make sure that proper entry has been passed for any variation during the physical verification में जो भी variation identify हुआ है उसके लिए proper entries has been passed. This is as per the CARO reporting. So this is required as per CARO reporting clause 2. And ये भी देख लेना कि inventory is valued at cost और NRV. Next revenue from operations. अभी क्या शुरू हुआ है? बैलेंस शीट से आ गए हम बाहर, पीएनएल से पीएनएल पे आ गए. अभी पीएनएल में पहला है हमारा रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम ऑपरेशंस. सो आई हैव टू ऑब्टेन द इनवॉइस वाइज सेल्स रजिस्टर. इफ देयर आर एनी एडवांसेस विच हैज़ बीन रिसीव्ड ड्यूरिंग द पीरियड आई हैव टू ऑल्सो डिक्लेयर इट इन माई जीएसटी. वन क्वेश्चन, अगर मुझे एडवांस मिला है ऑन गुड्स तो जीएसटी भरना है? क्यों नहीं? टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई में तो दोनों दिया हुआ है, डेट ऑफ पेमेंट और डेट ऑफ रिसिप्ट ऑफ गुड्स, विच एवर इज अर्लियर. या थ्रू नोटिफिकेशन नंबर 66 सिर्फ सर्विसेज के लिए एप्लीकेबल है. If there are any extraordinary items, you have to also verify if it is allowed in the object clause. So extraordinary items मतलब which is not in my ordinary course of business. Example?
Insurance.
Can be. नहीं, क्यों? मेरा बिजनेस है, मैं फिक्स एसेट्स यूज़ कर रही हूँ बिजनेस के लिए. भी मेरा बिजनेस इज़ अबाउट ट्रेडिंग एंड इफ़ आई एम मेरा एक लैंड है, उस लैंड को मैंने रेंट आउट किया है एंड इफ़ आई एम रिसीविंग रेगुलर रेंटल इनकम, सो दिस हैज़ बिकम माई रिकरिंग इनकम विच इज़ बीन जो मेरे रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम ऑपरेशंस में दिख रहा है. सो यू हैव टू सी इफ़ इट इज़ परमिटेड इन माई ऑब्जेक्ट क्लॉज. Okay, next for March month transactions, especially in the last week, you have to also obtain sales invoice के साथ साथ also obtain the delivery acknowledgement so that we can identify the cut-off transactions and unbilled income to be computed. Next, purchase. So for every purchase there has to be a purchase order. Also just understand अगर client के पास ऐसा कोई mechanism है where they send the inquiry to more than one vendor, why this mechanism exist करता है कि नहीं? Why should we ask this? I'll repeat. So I have to inquire the client if there is any mechanism where they send the inquiry to vendors. Why there should be a mechanism? और हम लोग ये क्यों पूछ रहे हैं?
According as the right price or what? There can be quotations of the meaning and we have chosen the right one or not. We have to
Correct. Exactly. So in order to verify the कि वो जो transactions है, it has happened at the best price or not, which is in the interest of the company. For that we need to send the inquiries to the vendors and just ask if they have the mechanism. If they don't have, well, it doesn't make the difference still. And March month के जो भी sales और purchases invoice है वो account हुआ है कि नहीं, that also we have to check. For salary, just verify randomly. अभी हमने ESI PF में तो usually we will be going through the salary sheets. So CTC भी verify करना है तो कर सकते हैं and also check for the 192 का applicability for the employees and ask them their calculations. They will have their calculations. For litigations, ask the clients if there are any pending litigations in the name of company, made by the company or on the company, and get the details. और वो करेक्टली इफ़ यू हैव द फिनेंशियल्स बने हुए हैं या बन रहे हैं, ड्राफ्ट दिया है, तो जस्ट चेक इफ़ प्रोविजंस या कंटिजेंट लाइबिलिटी में वो दिख रहा है कि नहीं. नेक्स्ट, for expenses, just scrutinize if any prior period expenses which are booked during the year. अभी ये किस सिचुएशन में आएगा? ये कोई एक एग्जाम्पल. अभी जो इंश्योरेंस जो हम प्रीमियम्स भरते हैं ना, इट मे नॉट बी फ्रॉम 1 अप्रैल टिल 31 मार्च, बीच में भी हो सकता है. तो जो भी मेरा पिछले साल का है, जो भी मैंने इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम जो पिछले साल का भी पीरियड कवर करता है, आई हैव टू लिस्ट आउट द आइटम. अगर वो मेरे करंट पीरियड के PNL में दिख रहा है, दैट आई हैव टू लिस्ट, प्लस इवन द प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस, द आइदर वे. वोचिंग ऑफ एक्सपेंसेस वो हम करते ही है. एक्सपेंसेस आर करेक्टली साइंड, ऑथराइज्ड, इनवॉइस वाइज है कि नहीं, टैक्स इनवॉइस टाइप देख लो, एंड GST क्लेम कर सकते हैं कि नहीं, वो भी एनालाइज उधर ही करना है. अभी एक्सपेंडिचर के व्हेन इट कम्स टू एक्सपेंडिचर, ऑल्सो सी इफ इट इज़ इन द नेचर ऑफ पर्सनल एक्सपेंडिचर, चैरिटी है, डोनेशंस है, लिस्ट देम आउट. और जो एक्सपेंसेस रिकरिंग नेचर के होते हैं, जैसे कि रेंट होता है, सैलरी होता है, मेक श्योर दे आर बुक्ड. इफ़ देर आर एनी चेंजेस, जैसे कि रेंट बुकिंग में इफ़ देर आर एनी चेंजेस, आस्क देम फॉर द एग्रीमेंट. अगर प्रीवियस एग्रीमेंट भी है तो मेक श्योर देर इज़ एन एस्केलेशन क्लॉज इन दैट. So rent has to be booked as per agreement only. So just make sure you just do 1-to-1 with it. And जो मार्च मंथ के एक्सपेंसेस है, मेक श्योर दे आर बीन बुक्ड. जैसे कि सैलरी होता है, अगेन रेंट बोला मैंने, वही. Yes, another important thing, if any expenditure is in the capital nature, it should not appear in my P&L. So just do that scrutiny also. Additional documents. So the company needs to file DPT-3. This is for the outstanding loans which the company has given during the year, and the money which has been received or deposits which are not considered as deposits. इसके लिए कंपनी को DPT-3 फाइल करना पड़ता है. So in loans and advances, अगर आपको याद है कि मैंने कुछ सालों पहले बताया था कि उसमें ना हमें एक इंटीमेशन देना पड़ता है ROC को. This intimation is DPT-3. So DPT-3, if it is not matching with my financials, ask for the reasons. Actually it has to match. And MGT-7 मतलब पिछले साल का जो एनुअल रिटर्न है फाइल हुआ है कि नहीं चेक करना है MCA पोर्टल पे. So checklist, we come to end of the checklist part. The next is CARO applicability. CARO applicability, I have just covered only the CARO applicability. I have not covered the clauses part. So CARO किन को applicable है? Sir, आपका question. Every company is required to report under CARO, including foreign company, excluding, except insurance company को ज़रूरत नहीं है, banking company को ज़रूरत नहीं है, section 8 company को ज़रूरत नहीं है, one person company, small company is not required to report, and private company not being the subsidiary or the holding of a public company जिसका paid up share capital is not exceeding 1 crore, total borrowing, these all are and conditions. Okay, borrowings are not exceeding 1 crore and revenue, total revenue as appearing in our balance sheet is not exceeding 10 crore. So these people are not required, इसके auditors are not required to report under CARO. That's it. Thank you so much. I have tried my best to elaborate on what should be the things which we have to check, what all are the documentations which we have to collect, which will be useful in our CARO reporting, which we usually submit, and जो भी procedures है, how best we can perform it. That's it. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Neha for the wonderful discussion, and I would like to thank all the partners and especially firm for conducting such an wonderful discussion, and all the articles and staff present. Thank you.